Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Happy to be on this crypto and assets call. Put a five if you guys can see me and you can hear me. Just want to make sure the technicals are good because this is my first time live streaming from YouTube, Zoom, and connecting everything together. So yeah, put a 5 in the chat if you guys can see me and hear me. Very excited to be on this call today. I see that we have 3 people watching the live, which is amazing, and definitely excited to get going. It's going to be just myself today, but definitely a couple of bits of news that I would like to touch on. So I'm going to wait. There seems to be a slight delay. Let me know if this works. Put a 5 in the chat, Janice, if you can still see me and hear me, and there's no audio issue here. Let me see. Okay. 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 I am getting a little bit like a little bit laggy and disconnected. I don't know why. I think must be the Wi-Fi today is a little bit dodgy. But we're gonna go ahead and just keep me up to date in the chat how things are. Hopefully things are okay. All right, I'm gonna get going. Keep me updated in what. Cool. So a bit of news to touch on today. A few things that have been going on. Very crypto based. And so the first thing I want to speak about is actually Circle's approval to become an official bank in the United States, which is really, really good. So I'm actually going to share my screen because this is positive news for everybody who is in the crypto space. Hopefully you can share my screen. And so hopefully you guys can see the screen here. And so Circle, which is the company behind the stable SDC, they got approval from the Office of the Controller of the Currency, which is the OCC, to establish Circle National Trust to make it an official federally recognized bank, which is a massive deal. And so the reason why this is useful is because number one, it brings more credibility because it's actually legally a bank, like not just, oh, it seems like a bank, it actually legally on paper a bank. Also, it aligns with the GENIUS, which is the Act for Stablecoins in the United States, which more and more companies want to create their own stablecoins because of the regularity now that allows them to do so and makes it easier for them to do so. And so we've spoke about OCC approvals before. And if I search 2025 crypto OCC approvals list, you guys are going to see that many other companies have got approvals, such as Ripple, which is an official bank now, National Trust, Fidelity, Digital Assets, BitGo, Axios. And so these are all for example, like Ripple is the company behind XRP. Fidelity is one of the largest brokerage firms in America, have a digital assets compartment within their company now. And in case you haven't realized, digital assets is the term used in the corporate world for crypto. There's different synonymous terms that people use to define and explain crypto. And so in the corporate world, it's digital assets. But if you're speaking to like someone in the decentralized space, in the DeFi space, you might say cryptocurrency. Or if you're talking to somebody else, they might categorize it in something different as well, like non-traditional payment method or whatever. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you see digital assets, it's a fancy way of saying crypto and anything that runs on the blockchain. You have BitGo. BitGo is a really popular company used by many corporations in America. And so it's mainly for institutions. It's not really for individuals. But like they are officially a bank in America, and we have Paxos Trust Company. And obviously, as a crypto, as you guys know, I think the symbol is PAXG. And it's been around for a very, very long time. And you can see there's up and coming 2026 approvals. So we have Bridge, which is to do with Stripe. And Stripe is a private company right now, but Stripe are actually looking to go public. You have Crypto.com, which is one of the largest exchanges in the United States. And then you have Protego. I'm not sure what Protego is, but you can see that this is becoming more and more popular. And Crypto.com, funnily enough, they have a few different functions, right? They have the Crypto.com cards that give you 1 to 3% rewards on every dollar you spend. And it's basically, you got Bitcoin, you got Ethereum, you got Polkadot, you got XRP, whatever it is, and you can go to the grocery store, swipe that card, and it's basically you're spending crypto, but it's obviously paid in fiat, and then you get rewards on what you spend. It's basically like a credit card, but just with a little bit more benefits, which is useful as well. Now, if I go to Coin, let me make sure it's working. Okay, cool. If I go to CoinGecko, you're going to see, guys, in the crypto market, it's been, there's been a lot of, as you can see, some of the smaller cryptos like pumping the past 7 days. But generally, if you look at Bitcoin, I'm going to pull the chart up over here. We've been in an interesting place because we've broke structure, as you can tell, in June time to the downside, right? This is on the daily time frame. And so now probably thinking, all right, like what are the next tools that we can look at in order for Bitcoin to bounce back from. And so let me see why this is. Let me see what's going on. Do one moment. Sorry, this seems to be freezing. Let me see if I can. I think my Wi-Fi has been a little bit poor. That's what it is. Here we go. This is my account. Lovely. Okay. Had a couple of nice gold trades, as you can see. Hey, there we are. This is what we want. Yes, as I was mentioning, as you can see, we broke structure to the downside. I'm on a daily time frame. And then if we kind of zoom out, we will see that this is of interest, which is down there. Now, what do we need to see in order to know that we're going to be on an uptrend? Because as you can tell, we've been bearish since basically October 2025. Well, what I would like to see is we need to break this level. We need to break this level in the mid to high 70s. That's a key level. Now, we can either see this, we can see a reaction like this to then come up into this point of interest level, or we can see this. And in terms of the next level to go to, this is what I'm talking about. This area down in here is what I'm wondering if we're ever going to get to. Because in my opinion, the way that the trend is moving, it's looking 40s is a possibility. It looks like 40s is a possibility. Now, if you was to ask me, do you ever see Bitcoin going below 40,000? I don't see it going below 40,000 ever again. It could maybe wick slightly below, but below 40, I don't see that. But as you can tell, there's a lot of imbalances in this area. And those imbalances, it's very possible for that to be filled in. As you can see here, this wick has swept the liquidity in this area. So like this liquidity is now taken. It's now like invalid, right? We don't need to worry about that. But this area here, this could be the next zone. And one of the biggest reasons is imbalances for those traders. As you know, all it means is inefficient price action, and the market likes to rebalance itself. It doesn't mean it's certain to happen, but it means that there's a good probability that eventually it will get filled in. And so I think that is a possibility. But also, if we look over here, we have imbalances in this region, which are yet to be filled out. And so will we come up into this area first, and then into the 70s area, the low 70s, and then come back down? Or are we simply going to stay consolidated, because that's basically what we're doing, and then drop back down into the high 40s and 50s? I'm not too sure, but there's two things that I want to mention here. The first thing is what you don't want to do is, as an investor, you don't want to wait too long to invest because you're expecting lower prices. The best thing one can do is to have some exposure to the market right now, and then have that spare capital, right? Let's say you got $1,000. Maybe you're like, right, like 6. It's like this is, time high is basically double, it's basically 127, like 130. So, I don't need to wait and keep all my 1,000 because I'm expecting price to go to 50s. I'm going to be smart. I'm going to put half of my funds in now because 60K is half of the all-time high, so that's very low. And I'm going to put the other half in when we see lower pricing. And guess what? If we break structure to the upside, fill in this imbalance and touch the 70s, okay, like at the end of the world, you can put the other $500 in. Don't get me wrong, it would have been better to put it in lower, but you don't want to have the mentality of, oh yeah, price keeps falling because we're in a downtrend, so I'm going to keep waiting. If you keep waiting, price can take off, and then now you have regret. So that's the best kind of mindset you have going into things. But if I go onto the fear and greed index, and I'm sure many of you listen to Mark Tarot, and you're fully tapped in with what he's speaking about from a technical standpoint. And I'm just giving you my little 2 cents. But if we have a look at the fear and greed index, you're going to notice, guys, that like we're not in the euphoria greed stage. Like we're in the fear stage, and this is the sentiment of the market. You guys already know three forms of analysis: technical analysis, which is the charts; mental analysis, which is the and how the macroeconomics affects the markets; and then sentimental analysis, which is the feeling, which is the emotion behind things, which is the human psychology. And a lot of people forget about the sentimental side. But this fear and greed index is measuring the sentimental side. So as you can see, we've been in extreme fear for a long time, and now we're only just touching fear. But the point is that you want to be greedy when people are fearful, and you want to be fearful when people are greedy, right? It's the opposite mentality of the market. For those of you who are traders, maybe you listen to Mark Douglas, Trading Psychology on YouTube. For those of you who are investors, maybe you listen to the Warren Buffetts, maybe you listen to the Charlie I forgot his surname now, but works with Warren Buffett. But these are the kind of guys that you want to get your information from about sentiment of the market, because the psychology doesn't change from 20 years ago to today. Maybe the technicals slightly, but generally, like, the thinking behind the market basically stays the same, regardless of what cycle that we're in, right? Whether we're recessionary, expansionary, it doesn't matter. And so, yeah, so that's my perspective on this. Now, if you look at a couple of the cryptos, I mean, this is just giving you a perfect depiction of how things are. These altcoins, they're nowhere near all-time high. Like, we're very, very far. In fact, many of these altcoins are near or below ICO price, initial coin offering price, which is the first price the coin was when it was listed on a centralized exchange. So, for example, the ICO price of Ondo is probably around like just below 0.2. Okay. And guess what? Right now, we're at 0.3. So we're not that far from IPO price. All-time high was up here, 2.1. So basically, we're almost at, like, it's basically an 8x from all-time high. Now, I don't want you to think that and get excited, like, oh my gosh, we're definitely going to hit all-time high, not necessarily. But I want you to know that this period of time to invest is still a good period. Like just because it's not the lowest of ICO, or just because the market's been bearish, it doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for you to get some exposure at these levels. Because give it 6 months from now, you might look back, or give it a year from now, and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I got in at 0.33 of Ondo. So my understanding, like, from 5 years now, investing, trading, and things like that, is there's a few key points I want to summarize here. Number one, don't be a person that's like trying to be too patient, because the market can take off without you. So have some exposure to the market in recessionary environments. Number two, make sure you're well diversified. Don't just have cryptocurrencies. Don't just have stocks. Make sure you have a mixture of different industries, a mixture of different layers, layer one, layer two, layer three, a mixture of different exchanges. All of these things are positives. And then the third thing, that's the key point, is you don't want to over leverage with low to mid cap cryptos. One of the things that, I mean, look at the markets have just been bleeding month to month. You guys can see, right? This is Filecoin. This is Filecoin, one of the main, like, security focused crypto projects out there that actually has government contracts. Filecoin is at 0.7, like, just crazy low price. And so the reason why I say don't just go for low mid caps is because for times like these, if you guys have most of your portfolio in the layer ones, in the Ethereums, in the Bitcoins, in the XRPs, in the the Solanas, what you're going to find is your portfolio might be down. It might be down, let's say 20%. It might be down 40%, but it's not going to be down 90%. That's for sure. You only see portfolios that are down 70 to 90%, guys, when you're over leveraged in these smaller projects. And it's not just about size, to be honest, but it's really mainly about utility and team. Like, what is the project actively doing right now? Like, have you even heard of the team, fulfilling their roadmap or putting out new announcements on their social media pages? Because if you haven't, then those projects, those mid to small cap projects, are basically going into hiding whilst the markets are bleeding, and that's a bad sign, very bad sign. You don't know on the back end, right? If the team are buying up their tokens, if they have large holders that are liquidating, you don't know these things. So that's the crypto side I want you guys to keep an eye out for. I was looking at Polkadot. I mean, it's just insane, like, how low Polkadot is. It's below $1. Like, just absolutely crashing. But it's not all doom and gloom. The key thing is, like I said, is make sure a good percent of your portfolio is in the Bitcoins, the Ethereum, Solanas. Those are the ecosystems as a layer one that you can actually have faith and trust in these markets in these times. Ensure that your stock portfolio, you're looking at the Snapchats, you're looking at the recent IPOs, you have exposure, whether you have a Fidelity, a Charles Schwab, like continue to dollar cost average in those, because the reality is 10 years from now, yeah, like those stocks, they're going to be here and they're going to be up for sure. It might not be up 300% like on crypto, but it will be up. But then with crypto, 10 years from now, most of them won't be here. But the ones that we speak about, we educate on, such as the Ondos, such as the XRPs, yeah, those will be here. So that's what you want to keep an eye out for. So, family, just wanted to touch on that because with the market right now, I know it can be very like fearful and not too sure on certain things. But like I say, short session. There is a bit of other news to be fair to go could go over, but we'll talk about that next week. We have a lot to talk on, and so with myself and Gil together, we're going to dive into that a little bit more. So I hope you learned one or two things. Thank you for joining. And we'll see you guys with me and Gil next week. A lot more to talk on